This session, Protecting Brand, Business Interest and Future, will focus on raising awareness through discussions on the need of protection, brand, business interest, and the future of the company. To begin the panel, let me first of all welcome Mr. Ameet Naik, Managing Partner, Naik Naik Co on the stage. Mr. Naik would be the chair for the session. He has led some major outbound and inbound transactions in the technology, media, and telecommunications space and has advised a number of film productions and major television shows. Joining him on the stage is Mr. Faisal Farooqi, founder and CEO of Mouthshut.com, which is India's largest consumer review platform with reviews of on a million products. Faisal was among the lead petitioner who challenged the various sections of the IT Act, which finally resulted in a victory for the entire nation when the Supreme Court declared Section 66A of the Act as illegal and diluted many other sections. He is also internationally recognized for his thoughts on integrating consumer-generated content with mobile and social media. He is part of the Internet Task Force of NASSCOM and was an advisor to TIE for India's new Copyright Act. The British High Commission has included Faisal among the list of top 50 young leaders who have demonstrated potential to change the country. Next, we have Mr. Venkat, co-founder and CEO, Viome Biosciences. Venkat comes with a very rich and global experience of successfully leading organizations in life sciences and consumer product businesses. He has held top management roles in the life sciences space in companies like Shanta Biotech and Aurobindo Pharma, and he's immensely contributed to their all-round growth. And finally, I would like to request you all to please join me in welcoming Ms. Vidya Raja Roy, partner, Thornton India LLP. Ms. Raja Roy brings over 15 years of investigation and forensic accounting experience. She has substantial investigative and forensic consulting experience in US and India. Prior to joining GT, she was associate as a partner at a Big Four firm. I'll hand over the session to you, Mr. Naik. Please take over.
All right, so we are on the last session, and did you forget Shyam?
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
We need a big applause for Shyam. Come on.
Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Shyam Nagarajan. I work with InMobi. I'm a senior legal counsel heading the North America contracts. To give you a very brief introduction, I've worked with Reliance Industries Limited before and also worked with a law firm in India by the name Trilegal. And here I am, and let's hope we can give you an interesting session. Thank you.
All right. So this is the last session. What we've decided is to entertain you a little bit. And since the topic is a big one and a very wide one, protecting brand, business interests, and future, we thought that we're going to make it really interactive. We are open to questions even as we go along. The speakers here are also going to be very interactive, so we're not going to make it monotonous, and we're going to try to get it as done quickly as possible. Brand. I said this in the morning also, and I'm saying this even now, that as far as brands are concerned, in any business, and I gave the Coca-Cola example, which we discussed the other day, that if a tsunami happens and the Coca-Cola factories go, the director of Coca-Cola told me it doesn't matter because the brand will outlive anything. I don't need factories to really sustain it. So really the essence is a brand is extremely important to any business. Either it's the business that sort of the dhanda that gets in the moolah in, or it's the brand that really outlives everything. And brand is what matters at the end of the day. In the legal landscape, as far as India is concerned, dilution of brand, issues that affect the brand are happening. Take the Snapdeal example. Nestle is one of the biggest case in point, where we had not only dilution of the brand, but serious issues on the endorsements and the people who were endorsing the brand. That's not very different with what was happening to Amir, even as recently as what's happening in the tourism issue as far as Amir is concerned, or even the Snapdeal. So brand plays a very important role. I must say this, that as far as India is concerned, and in terms of what we do as lawyering, it is extremely important for startups to understand the value of intellectual property, harness that intellectual property. And I can tell you by way of example that I was associated with a very, very important brand in the earlier part of my career known as Ad Labs. It was almost about 8 years ago that Ad Labs sold out to Reliance Media Works. That was the first M&A cash deal that we did in excess of 450 crores. And this was almost 8.5, I would say about 9 years ago. One of the things that I distinctly remember, and I don't know what got me doing that, is ensuring that the brand, as far as Ad Labs is concerned, remained distinct from the company. So as far as equity sale was concerned and a stake sale was concerned, we always distinguished the brand so that they were able to monetize the brand even for future. So good advice, sound advice of lawyering is always going to come a long way. And I would say that take professional advice. As far as the intellectual property regime in India is concerned, I think it is getting even better. We're WIPO compliant and we're going to even get better in that sense. We never thought that courts would sort of interpret Jean d'eau orders, where you could get takedown notices for people who really did unauthorized content. So this is how courts, and ultimately it's the executive, the legislature, and judiciary, but the judiciary is also playing an important role. You've seen Faisal's case also under 66. Law needs to catch up with time and technology. So this is a challenge that you face. I'm going to throw it to Faisal, and we're going to have an interactive session to share his experiences on brand. It's a very wide topic, and we have, it's not a very long time that we have. So Faisal, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amit. Thank you for really giving an opening to a topic where I really don't know where to start, where to begin. Because right now the feeling in my heart is, it's a very mixed feeling I'm having. Because I'm surrounded by some very powerful lawyers in this room. But if you allow me to be candid, then I'm going to make some statements which I firmly believe was true, that lawyers are troublemakers. But that was a Faisal Farooqui when he started business. If you ask Faisal Farooqui today, he sincerely believes that lawyers are your best friends and not the dog. Everybody in India today is doing startup. My neighbor was telling me, "Mera beta startup kar raha hai." And I think thanks to the Prime Minister's Start-Up India initiative, I think startup karna has become a verb. I don't know what that means, startup kar raha hu. So I thought, why not bring some perspective from some of those experiences that I've had in the few 12, 13 years that I've been doing startup. And I realized that because of Mouthshut, the unique nature of how we were doing, we are a consumer review platform. We get in excess of more than 10,000 opinions, comments, reviews on brands every day. And at one point of time, we had received more than 800, thanks to you, takedown notices. The first legal notice that I received was from a coaching class in Mumbai way back in 2003. It demanded 2 crores in compensation, an apology on the homepage of mouthshut.com, failing which they will take us to court. When I read 2 crores, I fell off my chair. If there is any doctor in this room, they will know I got arrhythmia. My heartbeat became erratic. The other day, a few weeks ago, received a legal notice of 2,000 crore. I did not even bother reading it. Because I know there are some very good lawyers taking care. And that's why I feel the lawyers are your best friends. Now, there are brands out there who are very, very consumer friendly. They recognize that every customer needs to be treated, pampered, and that every employee should be empowered to pamper the customer. But unfortunately, in this very nation of ours, There are brands who will spend crores on brand ambassadors, who will spend crores on frivolous advertising, who will spend crores on selling you TV ads or products through TV ads which make no sense, but they will not give you that 200 rupees compensation which you're fighting for on their toll-free number. They will not refund you your 1,080 rupees which you feel has been badly or fraudulently deducted from your account. Now, such are the brands that get trashed on Mouthshare. So at one point of time, I felt, if I do an introspection, I felt I was the most hated man in the brand community because every brand had a problem with me. 780 legal notices, 8 court cases, 4 of them in high court, and FIRs in every police station you can imagine. So I decided to give stats. And today I can proudly tell you that 54% of reviews on Mouthshare are positive reviews recommending a product. It is not that the Indian consumer only talks when he's been cheated, when he's angry, when he's pissed off. Only 46% are talking like that. And that is my sincere analysis. And that's what I want to tell you and the entrepreneurs out there and the lawyers out there, that invest in good legal advice. Lawyers do not necessarily mean that you have to go to court. Lawyers don't only come in when there is a litigation, somebody has sued you. You seek legal advice from chartered accountants. You seek legal advice from doctors when you have, I know of families when the child sneezes and they go to a doctor. Here, you're doing complex transactions, complex agreements, and you don't seek a legal advice. For God's sake, find a lawyer. You don't have cash, give him 2% equity in your startup. And now ESOPs can be given cash-free without any taxation. There's an RBI rule, RBI guideline that came up yesterday. My advice to you is, if you are going to build a brand, and every startup has the potential to be a big brand, invest in your strategy, because you make mistake, the customer out there is not forgiving. An online mistake can go viral. Mark Anderson destroyed everything that Facebook had built in one single tweet. And Facebook's CEO had to come down on Twitter and apologize for something which he did not even commit. So that's the mistake, and that's where your brand can go. All the reputation that you've built over the last 7, 8, 9 years, and all the philanthropy that you have done can be just erased. And that's why you need good lawyers, good strategy, and good brand protection.
So Faisal, can I just ask you this? It takes years of effort to build a brand, or even to cultivate a business or cultivate a brand. It takes one tweet to bring it down. Given your experience and given the fact that you have a lot of critical appraisal of what you do in terms of people coming on Mouthshare and doing what they say, what is the recommendation that you have for making sure that what is the mitigation process that you would recommend as far as brands are concerned?
Very
Particularly
good
startups.
question. Very good question. I will not be able to specifically address from a legal point of view, but from a service point of view, I would say invest in your customer quality. I would give more money to the customer service, customer engagement department than the marketing department or the advertising department. B, empower your frontline employees to resolve customer issues without having to go into a maze of IVRs and maze of, escalation and appellate authorities, etc. Because you could be spending crores. And C, have a non-confrontational strategy. The customer may be lying. The customer may be trying to deceive you. But please do not confront him, because ultimately, as Gandhiji said way back in 1940s, that the customer is the king. We are there to serve him. And I think it's so true today. It's so true today.
Absolutely.
I think if I could just add one point to that is, I think, don't make the customers work for you. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been customers, especially banks, right? I mean, if you've ever tried applying for anything in a bank, private or foreign or PSUs, you have to work so much harder to get that FD placed. I really don't know why it's so difficult. I'm giving you my money. You want me to do 1,500 forms, and you apply for a home loan, right? 85 signatures. I mean, seriously, I don't even know. I mean, who comes up with this? Why does the customer work so hard?
Just given how important brand is to a startup in whatever platforms of business that you do, what's the best, he gave the suggestions in terms of how do you mitigate, right? PR strategy, right? What is your thinking, Farooq, on PR strategy as far as brands are concerned?
The best strategy really is about pampering the customer.
Okay.
And understanding what the customer really wants. Now, a lot of CEOs, and I'll give you names, right? So really, I mean, doesn't really matter. I told one of the main assistants to ICICI Bank CEOs, Chanda Kochar, and I said, you know what, y'all are investing so much on all this Sawal Aapka and all this front page advertising, and it's all nonsense, because at the end of the day, have you called your customer line? And she said, yeah, we do that rigorously, etc. I said, no, just once a month, ask your CEO, ask Chanda Kochar to wear a non-silk sari, to remove some makeup, and walk into a branch and do a transaction without being recognized. Go to some obscure branch, go into Indore, Jaipur, Madurai, go somewhere else where she's not known visibly, and try and doing. That is the best strategy for PR, because, and I know there are startups who are doing this, and I'm not endorsing those startups, and neither am I condoning whatever and others are doing. But I know in Flipkart, everybody in top management has to get on the toll-free helpline. I think 6 hours a month, including the CEO. Uber, the CEO drives the cab every month under a disguised identity. He knows practically what is happening in San Francisco, what are customers thinking about it. I think that's the best PR, because I've heard about it now that the Uber CEO is driving a cab, or Flipkart CEO handles toll-free customer complaints. Bansals are doing that. Some of them are actually going out in delivery, etc. So they are setting up the new benchmark. Some of you out there are going to set up new benchmarks in customer quality, customer service, etc. The old and established businesses need to catch up, otherwise you'll be wiped out.
But it's amazing you say that, because I read Vijay Mallya's article about 2 days ago, and it was there in ET Panache, and it really said a very interesting thing. He said, look, I always did whatever I needed to do for my brand, whether it's running the Derby or whether it's doing that, because that's what really drove my brand. But look at what's happened to that kind of a brand, right? You had Kingfisher as a solid top-class brand. So in more ways than one, sometimes while you promote your brand and you have leaders, because you lead from the front, anything that goes along with the leader also dilutes the brand, because the brand is distinct from its promoters and its persons. So that distinction, to my mind, needs to be made, because sometimes you run the risk of having your brand in jeopardy.
Now I'm so sorry that you mentioned Kingfisher as one of those examples, because Kingfisher is not the right example of a brand that got diluted because of some business decision. We know the history, we know what really happened, we know all the stuff that brought Kingfisher down, and it's a matter of investigation, it's a matter of CFO and serious investigation, fraud office, etc. But you tell me a brand where the owner has been passionate about customer service, treating the employees well, paying the employees very well, and it has gone down. Look at Tata's. I mean, you and I may not buy everything from Tata. We may not drive the Tata vehicles, but I think the brand stands for what Mr. J.R.D. Tata stood for, what Mr. Ratan Tata stands for. And I think it shows in their lifestyle. It shows in the charisma that they deal with the brand. And I think, look at the Reliance brothers, or the Ambani brothers. The brand reflects that aggression, the growth, the hunger, the acquisition from Mr. Shetty. Everything. I mean, so much so that you had to put a clause that, tomorrow it will not be called Reliance Labs or something like that, right? So it reflects, of course. Kingfisher went down because of some really bad decisions, which is subject of another whole day conference.
Actually, I agree, Faisal. I'm sure you know about the brand industry much more than most of us sitting here. But I think what Amit was also trying to, the point Amit was trying to make was Kingfisher as a brand I think, has been a big success because of Malia. There might be various reasons why it came down, and probably the reason for its debacle and why it's not rising back. And if you have to differentiate between an Ambani and a Malia or even a Tata, it's very clear, like you rightly said. But I think where Malia was successful, at least to a certain extent, was the fact that he was able to bring that brand in front. Like today, if you know Kingfisher, you know Malia's behind it.
I'll tell you, 1 month before Kingfisher officially shut down the airline business, the last flight took off, we did an analysis of all the reviews and comments of Kingfisher and Mouthshut. It was the only aviation brand listed on Mouthshut, international or domestic, which did not have a single negative review.
Absolutely.
Not a single. You find me one person in this country, I've yet to meet somebody, who said Kingfisher Airline was bad service. There was not a single review on Mouthshut. And I congratulated Vikram Malhotra, who was the GM of marketing at Kingfisher at that point of time. And it was amazing. I mean, I would just love to understand how they achieved it, because Mouthshut was not controlled by Kingfisher. And neither were they in any tie-up with us that we would promote them, etc. These were genuine reviews, and not a single review was a negative review.
So coming back to this, startup, you made such an important point, Shyam, also. But really on startup, Shyam, really for you, you've seen the landscape in terms of legal issues. What do you think are the do's and don'ts as far as startups are concerned? Just given your experience, looking at what's happening today in the Kerala High Court, what's happening in Delhi as well. So what do you think, we have 25-year-olds and 30-year-old here who need to know, and like you rightly, and Bitika, he's going to be my counsel at all times. So, yeah, what is your take on that?
Before that, I would like to say that thanks to Faisal, I think the brand value of lawyers has increased after what Faisal has said. And probably ICICI Bank has come down a little bit. Anyway, coming back to the point on startup, and I work with InMobi, which arguably is still a startup. Many of us still say that InMobi is way past the startup mark, and you guys should no longer call yourself a startup. But I being an inside person, I know how much of a startup we are. Anyway, to come back to Ameet's point, I think the best way I can explain this is probably by an example or an illustration, because a couple of months back, InMobi came up with a product, and it's called Meep. Though we've not yet come into the commercial launch of that product, because it's not there in any of those mobile apps now. Meep was basically, just to give you guys a very, very brief introduction, Meep was, it's a sloth which basically curates your interests. Now, so for example, if you've been browsing on Amazon for a long time on your phone, the Meep, when it gets enabled on your phone, will start showing Amazon, or start showing any deals of Amazon or Flipkart, or depending on what your user behavior is. Now, when this product was being, we had to introduce this product to the world, and this was being done in San Francisco. We in the sense, lawyers, we're a 6-member team in the company. We were quite surprised, and at the same time pleasantly surprised, that we were asked an opinion about this product before this product was introduced to the world. And I can tell you, to pick what Faisal was mentioning some time back, I think gone are those days when you go to a lawyer only when you're in trouble. You need to have them by your side. And when I mean lawyers, I mean the advisors on a whole. Like, for example, your financial advisors, your legal advisors, insurance, whatever you may call them. You need them whenever you want to try something now. I mean, it's not, and India has always been...
But startups, I'm sorry, startups, right? We're talking about startups. Why would they, and Faisal makes the right mention that, no, you must get legal advice. How does a startup look to get top-class legal service or accountancy service or tax service? Who's going to sort of stick their neck out and take a punt and say, all right, this is a startup and I want to give my time? Because the only stock and trade for a professional is his time. So why do you think we as professionals need to do that with startups? What is your take? And you're from the legal fraternity,
yes,
so you should.
Yes. In fact, a very valid point, and I'm sure Ameet himself has an answer to it, but I'll probably just put in my word. So in fact, I think, I don't know if you all listened to a session a couple of sessions back where they were talking about how much of pro bono work should lawyers do, and probably somebody was saying that I've not paid my lawyers for the last 2 years or something of that sort. And I was working with a law firm before, and I know for a fact, and I know many of the law firms, including Ameet, I know for a fact that there are lawyers out there who now understand the value of a startup. And I know because when I worked in Trilegal, I have done innumerous number of transactions. I have done matters where the startups have come to us with an idea, and they've told us, okay, this is what we want to do. This is the contract that we want from the customer. This is what we want. This is our business strategy. We've spent hours. We've like lit the midnight oil. We've not got paid. And I probably I'll have to check with Trilegal if they've got paid now. But I think the trend is slowly changing. It's no longer the type where I probably am not in the best position to talk about other fields, about probably the financial advisors. But gone are those days again where the lawyers used to say, check pehle dalna, uske baad kaam karenge.
So, one takeaway again from the conference, Bithika, is that if you are able to initiate, given the fact that you've done such a good conference, there are so many law firms that you have here, and if you're able to incubate startups, and you're able to do a model where Legal League takes this up, I think that's a good piece, because that's a good takeaway that, rather than having one law firm or a specific law firm, if you have a couple of law firms, taking that league with you and partnering with you, I think that's a good thing.
I think this itself is a perfect example, because like when we had the offline discussion about the panel and what we are going to discuss, we were also talking about how legal is this. And we realized that there are a lot of startups who are coming here, a lot of people who are coming here to understand how the startup culture is. And we also have a good mix of lawyers, law firms. And I'm part of the in-house team of a startup company or a IT company, let's put it that way. So I think this itself is a perfect example, and if we can take it forward progressively, that would be super.
So Venkat,
After hearing all this, I have some couple of very basic pieces of advice. I think when you're building brand, you're building business, because as you build something in consumer's mind or customer's mind, and the customer acts upon it, he buys your service or product. There are two aspects as a startup promoter, we'll have to keep in mind. One is to start with, you yourself is a brand selling initially to everybody that you are meeting, your company and your idea. Now, just to add to what Faisal said, you have to pamper customer, but you also have to manage expectations. In a startup situation, perhaps even for larger companies, the ICSA example that was quoted, there is nothing like an ideal world. There is something that you can do on an evolutionary manner to what you can do as a startup, and as you even grow, given your resources, given your intellectual capabilities, given all your brand passion and the best piece of marketing advice. Promise, position, the two keywords, please remember, and then deliver. The more you promise, you'll have reviews back in mouth shut. Therefore, careful in what you're promising with product. We'll talk about how to handle customer who has some small little complaint or who writes a review. I just want to go back to my consumer product industry. We in consumer product industry believe for every product complaint, there are 100 people who are not complaining.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, because of inertia. And similarly, for every product positive review, there are 100 people who are good, very satisfied with the product, not talking about it. They are just internally accumulating all the feelings against the brand or on brand personality, which is just positioned, which is just promising what it is wanting to do. So the art is building the brand that gives you enough business, because brand is business. He's quoted the Coca-Cola example. But at the same time, not positioning it, not promising that you cannot deliver, because then it can destroy what you've built through all these examples that these people have quoted. Yes, in banks, we talked about service branding, service examples. Everybody wants the ideal world, business at the split second. It's not possible always, even your businesses. Flipkart has done many mistakes. So you'll have to be very careful while you're building a strong emotional personality of your brand in consumer's mind. Same time, let consumer also know, in terms of where you're not over-promising and not delivering.
But isn't Flipkart a clear illustration of brand bigger than whatever, minimal business or quantum of business or discounts that you do or predatory pricing that you do? Isn't that a classic example of saying that, look, the brand is bigger and the brand is here to stay, and that's where the moolah really is?
Yeah, but at least, sorry, I'll just address it from my perspective. At least they are not making super profits and taking home super profits, which an ICICI or an HDFC or SBI is making.
Right.
Why can't they spend a fraction of that into returning my 250 rupees monthly charge, which I really want? They're wasting my 15 minutes on the toll-free number. Why can't they? Flipkart says, and Flipkart isn't just an example, any e-commerce company today is saying, no questions asked, 14-day return. So it's an easier way for them to cut down on cost. I will feel at the end of the day, the sum game is the same in terms of cost. Now, the question that I have for you and you, the lawyers out there, somebody talked about pro bono in an earlier session. Why aren't you guys open to pro bono like doctors are? My brother is a doctor. He's a surgeon. He's in US. His consulting charges are $1,250 per patient. Now in US, trust me, I think every day he waives off the fees of at least 3 patients. He's a pediatric surgeon. Do you guys waive off fees of 3 of your customers every day?
I can tell you this. When you look at the sectors, I can say this. I don't know about how many lawyers do it, but most of the top lawyers today, including senior counsels, waive off a lot of fees. And not only waive off, they do a lot of pro bono work. Public interest litigation also.
Where they get publicity.
No,
They get
outside
publicity.
of
Like
publicity.
I'll do a Supreme, if I'm a Harish Salvi,
Right.
and something is related to environment,
Right.
which I think is
Right.
on the radar of every newspaper today, then I'll probably discount my fees.
But can I say it the other way around? You need a Harish Salve. You have a classic issue like 66, right? You have an issue of freedom of speech, right? You need to get that best lawyer in. And if that best lawyer is willing to say that, all right, I'm a brand by myself, because ultimately, even for counsel and even in our legal services, brand is what sells at the end of the day. So you don't need, you do it pro bono.
So come even before the counsel work, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's say advisory work.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to start a business. And I don't know if my business plan in itself is legally valid in India or not.
Right.
Okay, maybe tomorrow I'll get a legal notice from ED, from FEMA, violation, etc. I know that you're a good lawyer. And you will see this and you're like, oh, okay, 10% equity lunga. Would you say that? Or you'll say, hey, iski to 3 lakh rupees, sign on, monthly retainer with me. Why do you guys do all that?
Look,
I mean, why can't you just be normal
if
and
you're
say,
talking
hey, you're
about
my friend, I'll do this for you. It's 2 hours work for me, man. It's 2 hours work for me.
I think we are building lawyers' brand now.
No, I'm just asking, this whole culture of pro bono.
No.
I mean, the world gets
so
big.
I think let's get
Faisal,
back to the
wait,
promoters, startup promoters.
I think me and Shyam will definitely answer that. Shyam, yeah, please. Yeah. So I would say this. I don't think there is anything wrong in doing pro bono work. I don't think a lawyer needs to do social service. Right? But there is nothing wrong in doing pro bono work, whether it's equity that you take or whether it's referral work that you take. You must understand the...
Would you advocate to your...
Absolutely. And I would say this.
Guys, please
Yeah,
applaud.
please. Thank you. And I'll tell you the biggest problem that we as a community, as lawyers face. Now we're on the brand topic and we're talking about startups. In India, a lawyer cannot promote his brand. We cannot advertise. We're not supposed to advertise. So the biggest challenge that a lawyer faces, unlike other businesses, you can do what you want to. Even if I have a website, I need to have 20 disclaimers on that. So I think if the sector opens up, if you look at startup law firms, and I'm talking about startup law firms, I think you have some great law firms that are very innovative, who are ready to walk that path. And I would encourage everybody. I started my own law firm when I was 30 years old. I'm all of 40 now, and we are more than 75 lawyers. So the idea is, it all takes that initiative to do it. But I think startup lawyers can go out and do it, and there's nothing wrong in investing and taking equity.
To add to what Ameet has to say, I mean, because we have Faisal here, if Ameet had to be reviewed on mouth shut, I'm sure, we can't do that as of now, which is exactly what Ameet was mentioning, but I'm sure if Ameet had to be reviewed on mouth shut, I'm sure there'll be a lot of mentions of pro bono cases, and there'll be more of that 54% and the 46% would be higher. And just to add on the pro bono thing, I'm sure all of us do it, all of us as lawyers do it, and I'm an in-house counsel, so I cannot do pro bono work per se. But I still get calls from my friends, and I hail from Kerala, and my friends call me and say, Shyam, can you just look at this contract and let me know what you think about this? And they've started something there. I'm just giving you an example. And I look at it and I send it back to them. They say, hey, there's no fees. Obviously, you're working with a company, so obviously we're not going to pay you anything. I said, that's fine. But I say the same thing. I said, tomorrow, of say 10 years down the line, you become a big company. Have me in mind. I think that's how I just say have me in mind. I don't say you pay me.
I'll give you my experience. You know, when we started the company, I mean, I'm talking from a promoter's perspective. It's actually easy to find, I mean, I wouldn't say cheap, but economical advice law firms. So ML Bhakta's nephew, Ashish Bhakta, started a firm. So there are a lot of people who keep starting firms who are available at a very economical price. Okay, for instance, we've got the Series A investment agreements done by that gentleman. Can you imagine ML Bhakta's nephew, but who's a very young gentleman, for a couple of lakhs of rupees? And he was advising company. So I think it's our ingenuity in how do you get to find these people.
So we'll move a little bit away from the lawyers now and get back to some of the brand.
I think getting back to promoters, don't take anything for charity.
Vidya,
Faisal, if you're asking for that. Okay.
No, I think
Because
you must give
business
back to
doesn't work
everything
like
that you
that.
do, and that's very
This
important.
is becoming more of a brand lawyers than the brand.
So Vidya, you have so much of experience at Grant Thornton and what you do. Your issue and take on valuations, is it a bubble? Is the startup space a bubble? Is the valuation game a misnomer? What is your take on that?
So I think as the only accountant in this panel, maybe in the room remaining, right, in a bunch of investors and lawyers, it's a deadly combination. And I'll go, I think, there are no investors, so that's easier. So I won't get
there were a
killed,
lot of
you know.
investors. There very much.
There are some, but I think like Vishesh earlier in the morning said, our chairman, that you really have to be very brave today to say that valuations are not frothy, right? They are in a bubble, everyone knows it, but no one wants to bell the cat because it works for everyone. For an investor, probably he's overpaying, but then now it's a seller's market. It used to be buyers before. Now there are so many startups that investors are equally worried that if they miss this at the right time, and today the valuation is 10 times your EBITDA or earnings, multiple, the next time around it could be 20 times, or it could be 15. No one really wants to call the market today and say that next time you could buy for 6 times. So you're getting a discount. So no one really wants to say that. And most investors believe that they're investing in the idea, right? So in the beginning, in the morning discussion, it was about idea. And there really is no valuation model to value an idea because it is an intangible. It is about expectation of, when we talk to investors and when investors come to us with a company and they say, look, we want this valuation. And many times some investors already have, they have their own view. They want to do the deal because they're looking at, say a startup which is, very exotic and they has a lot of promise. So there are multiple investments and they want to be the first one. So they've kind of pre-decided they want to do the deal. And that's the problem. But on the flip side is, I think if you're a company, many companies, if you're a startup, many times startups, it becomes the valuation becomes more important than the idea. Then you have a problem.
So is the philosophy of brand, I would say the first stop before any brand creation is that you need to make sure that your idea is absolutely novel. You need to make sure that it's extraordinary for it to go that extra mile and the brand to be what it is, right?
Yeah, and I think, see, what happens with many of the startups is, that we've done a lot of work with startups in different levels, right? Some, like Shyam said, may not want to be, they're no longer startups, like with some lens you look at it, they're, very mature startups, they're not really startups. Some are just, starting up, like he's saying, they're just doing startups, right? But the challenge is that as they go from, across this maturity framework, the startups who are in the beginning, who have less customers and it's taking off, and the offtake in India is very quick. So today you think you'll get 10,000 customers, and some of the e-commerce websites witnessed it, during these whatever discount sales they were having, that you would think, because we have a population of 1 billion and highest mobile penetration, that you would think you're going to serve 10,000 customers, but you will get 1 million in one day. So you haven't scaled up. So you equally get, that then affects your brand. So because your customers are, they want to come there, but then your site is down, or you've collected their, so that's the first problem. The second is when they collect information, whether it's credit card, personal information. As lawyers, there is very stringent, regulations, and they're not equipped to handle that data. And someone internally, they haven't built the right culture in the company, steals information. So again, that hurts your brand.
We were discussing valuation. One of the things from an accountancy perspective is, in terms of valuation of brand and goodwill, when you exit a brand, correct, or when you decide to do a stake sale, how would you take a startup, right, which sort of goes up to a 5-year, 3-year period. When you look at the brand and ascribe a value to the brand, correct, what is the thing that really, really appeals in terms of, the number? How do you get to those numbers? One is the method of valuation. The other is, how does it work from your accountancy perspective?
Yeah, so I think pure accountancy perspective.
So I ascribe a value in a stake sale, right, to the goodwill or the brand. So what's the basis of that?
Well, if I keep it, unless you go into a conference on valuation, right, which I assume you don't want to go now.
No, I'm
right?
just on the brass tacks. Yeah.
Sure. You want to go first? No, you go ahead. So when you value goodwill, right, so you're looking at reputation, you're looking at promoters, again, intangibles, and it's more art than science. And that's why it gets subjective, right? So there is no specific model where you can put in your, say,
So can I ask Faisal a question? Is Flipkart the bigger brand or Bansal is the bigger brand?
It's in the eyes of the beholder.
It's very important because I want to know from a brand perspective.
I personally feel that Flipkart is a bigger brand than Bansal. Because, so I'll tell you why. Because Bansals, if you collate them as a brand, have created systems, process, and technology which will out-survive them, which means we just know that there is a whole reshuffle that happened in Flipkart a few days ago.
Yep.
And it is in the hope that whether they are there or not, that Flipkart was on the growth path that has been charted, that has been demarcated, that has been presented to the board. What I really don't understand in India, and some of these publications, mainstream publications are hampering on this idea that there has to be a correction in valuation and bubble. And it is because, I don't know, somehow there is a notion that startup founders have it very easy. वो कुछ लिखते हैं, they go overnight, do some coding, रात भर क्या करते हैं, game खेलते हैं, and they produce some code, they go and present somewhere, $2-4 million तो ऐसे ही आ जाता है सुबह में उनके account में. That's not how it is. The guy who started Uber, which is about $50 billion valuation, in 2009, it took him 1 year of hard work, which is knocking on the door of every guy in San Francisco to get his first $100,000 check. The most difficult part, and ask me, the most difficult part for an entrepreneur is not building the product. It's not about hiring the team. It's about the rejection that your idea sucks by every guy who calls himself an investor. And today everybody in India is an investor. Your idea sucks, this will not work. We don't have it easy, guys. We work very hard to get that first investor's money. We work very, very hard. And sometimes to an extent that, you know Bhavish Agrawal? How many of you know him? Ola Cabs.
Yes.
Yeah? A guy with a backpack and a lunchbox. He knocked on the doors of every investor for 18 months in this country. And that's when you have a company like Ola, which is, according to some, valued at $5 billion. We get rejected 90% of the time. Google was rejected by Yahoo. Finally, they went to Yahoo and they said, look, we don't have money. We're running out of money. Buy us. Buy us out. I mean, can you imagine an entrepreneur burying his ego and says, buy us out? That's the worst thing an entrepreneur can do. They did it. You know what Yahoo said? How much do you want? And they said, $1 million. $1 million. Jerry and Larry, they said, too much. You kids, you need to go back and work and study. And then we all know what Google is today and where Yahoo is today. So guys, we work very hard. There is no such concept of overvaluation. There is no such concept of bubble. If you like my idea, please pay me the max that I want.
So, valuations are here to stay.
I hope so.
Right? That's what you're saying. Sorry, Venkat, you had a point. Yeah.
So valuations definitely are here to stay, because when a promoter goes and presents an idea, see, at the end of the day, it's all in mind, whether a brand is in consumer's mind, whether your idea is in investor's mind. And of course, the promoter has to prove himself successful as he gets money to the achievement of that. There is a market opportunity for sure. So when you're looking at future of the valuation, there are many models that we can talk about. There is a very simple thumb rule, for promoters that you can use. Just quantify the market size in any parameter. And as long as you're in top 2 or top 3 that you want to be, then nobody is going to ask you any questions on any value that you want to ascribe to. So as long as you're going to be the first mover, or maybe the second mover at best, with some differentiation, and you're able to put a market size to it very intelligently, you're done. Okay? And this is the trick. Now that's what Bansals and others have been doing it. They're saying the whole thing is moving to $20 trillion from a few $1 billion now, the e-commerce. And everybody is believing it, including Technopack and all. Okay. It perhaps would happen. We'll have to wait and see. So then the valuations are right. Then nothing.
So then Faisal is not wrong. What he's saying.
No, see, I tend to disagree, right? So,
Right.
when you said valuations are, it's not over, there is no overvaluation, right? There clearly is overvaluation in some businesses, right? So you have to distinguish between a legitimate need for cash, which is different from overvaluing a business, which is again very different, right? So you're looking at valuation because if I am an investor and I have 10 different opportunities and I can only invest in 3 out of 10, because even as an investor, I have to return money to my owners because it's not my money. I am still a custodian, and if I have to earn the highest possible return, right? Because maximum return is fiction.
Okay,
Right?
so
So
Just
to that
Sure.
point, I think the distinction is that yes, startups work very hard. No one is saying startups have it.
But
on
I
a
think he made a
platter,
distinction
right?
between two things. He said, look, it doesn't come easy for startups. They really have it the hard way. I think that's the distinction, and that's a different point from what you're making, whether valuations are right or wrong. And like he says, look, if you get the value, that's the valuation that you get. And that's what I heard you to say, right? It doesn't matter because you work hard for it. Whether valuations are a bubble or not is a matter of fact. And that you will know over a period of time. But can they stay and can they be sustained? It's ultimately a purchase of
No, but it's already starting to disappear, right? So if you look at valuation, when I was studying for, chartered accountancy, it was a very simple valuation model, right? So you would take cash flows, like he says, one method was you project cash flows, or you come up with a market estimate, and then you say, well, that's my percentage, right? Today, you have, like, if you take Flipkart, they're valued on gross merchandise value, whatever is GMV, right? They're not valued on cash.
No.
Because they're not valued on profits. Because today, the inverse, which is why I'm saying it seems illogical, is the higher your losses, the greater your loss, the greater your value.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, if you were an investor, would you invest in a startup? If Faisal was an investor, and I go to him, and so does Shyam, and so do you, and he's got 3 choices. We all have great ideas, great integrity, great startups. We all work 24 hours, because we can only work 24 hours, unfortunately, right? All 3 of us are only working 24 hours a day. Would he invest when I have the most amount of loss, but yet I want a $1 billion valuation? I hope the answer is
I
no.
want Faisal to answer.
I'm starting a startup right now.
See, honestly, so you put me on a spot, but I have an answer for that. The whole investment chain in this world is like a pyramid. Okay, Faisal Farooqi, to be very honest, may not invest in that business where there is huge loss, personally. But the pyramid on the top are some very, 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 very infinitely rich people whose funds flow and goes down in the pyramid and ultimately reaches some startup. On the very, very top are royal families, sovereign funds, who have enough money that you can possibly not even spend in this lifetime. And they need to do something about it. So they park it in billions and billions of funds and hedge funds, so the delta or the coefficient of risk for them is very high. They will buy a Flipkart 1%, and somebody recently did that transaction. I think the royal family of Qatar invested in, I think, Flipkart at a valuation which was 60 times more than the original investor who had invested. Now, hey, you're a royal family of Qatar. You need to make such investment. You have to. That is why God has given you so much gas.
All right. So I'm going to take.
I just want to add some important input here. See, whether it is very big funds or small funds, everything is, their specific needs. The big funds look at 20-year horizon. Small funds look at a 5-year horizon. So everything in the end makes sense if you're looking at what are your needs, what is your fund size, and what's your, let's say, market cycle or the economic cycles. People who are investing in Flipkarts look at much, much, much longer term. Today, yes, they're focused on gross merchandise value, they're huge losses. And again, value in whose? They're thinking that eventually if there were to be consolidation, if there would be a strategic buyer, and that strategic buyer along with Flipkart will make tons of money, profits. Okay?
So there will always be all kinds of people to ascribe value or to give you that value. I think that's the takeaway. I'm sorry, we're going to sort of be very quick and have some close-up comments. Starting with you, right there. Startup India. I'm calling up Brand Startup India. What is your take? Brand Startup India. How big is it? That's what the Prime Minister announced. How seriously big is it?
I don't have a number to it, right? Because it will
No,
run
I don't want a
from
number. How big is it? I'm not asking a number. Where do you see Startup India going?
Well, I think earlier in the morning I was talking, to the first inaugural session, right? So I think the Startup India brand is very strong as far as service startups are concerned, right? But there's very little innovation coming out in the service area.
Great.
In the product, it's really small, and that's where the opportunity is and where it is really innovating. If you look at healthcare, you look at education, when you look at healthcare medical devices, you look at water management. So you're seeing some very good product innovations coming in the startup area.
Venkat, what about you? And I'm saying brand Startup India.
It's on paper. At the end of the day, brand is Startup India, right?
Yes. Yes.
So only when it hits the mind and it has a consolidated understanding of some huge benefits, being accrued because of that initiative, not because of entrepreneurs' initiative or investors' community or whatever. Today it is just on paper. We'll have to see.
Sham.
No value I can ascribe.
I think we are already there. I mean, brand Startup India, probably I think the conference or the meet happened few months back, but I think we've already arrived, and there's a lot of promise. And in fact, I'm not sure how true it is, but I read somewhere that apparently the Prime Minister came and said that I do not see familiar faces in this conference, and he said, I feel ashamed about it. Because it was a startup conference, and he said that I can't probably recognize more than 2-3 people, and he said I'm really ashamed about it, and that really calls out the state of affairs in India, and he said he will do something about it. But I have a slightly different take to it. Like I said, I feel it's already there. People have started to realize, which has always been the case in India, because I always say that about law also, like in the sense, India is always about catch-up. Something happens, and then whether it's law, whether it's technology, everything catches up with whatever has been put in. So my take is that it's already there. And
Faisal, what about you?
I don't think there's anything called Startup India. I think the reality is that there are entrepreneurs in India who have dreams, aspirations, and hope. And there is an awareness now that you can do something and build great products and change the country in your own little ways. If that is what Startup India is, then we have arrived. But that journey began probably in 98 or 97.
Correct.
When the first, or 95, when VSNL opened the internet connections for Indians, which was, by the way, at 10,000 rupees an hour to dial up. So we have come here. But on the reality, on ground reality, I don't think there is anything happening to make conducive the aspirations of youth, because ultimately 50% of our population is under 25. And Karnataka is introducing a legislation, which I just read this morning, which is going to regulate private taxi app-based operators like Ola, etc. That goes against the very basic nature of a free economic society that we are trying to build, where everybody's idea will be validated by the market and not by regulation. So there has to be some kind of putting words and then putting reality on the streets. Otherwise, every aspiration of this country, which is 50% of the population, will be doomed.
Well, I think we've had a wonderful discussion. I'm just going to say 2 things before we end. I think brands are here to stay. And I agree with Faisal that as far as entrepreneurship is there, from an agrarian economy to a manufacturing economy to a service economy, and now you can think of Frisco sitting right here in India. So I think it's here to stay. All the best to all the very people who sort of make that effort and who sort of stick their neck out and take risk. So I would say no brand can be created without the ability and the appetite for risk, and that's extremely important. Thank you very much, everyone, and I know we have a hard stop, so thanks a lot, and thank you, everyone.
Mr. Ameet Naik? This is for Fez Faruqi. Why isn't this? Ma'am, you need to take a picture. Mr. Shyam Nagarajan. Why isn't the mic working? Mr. Venkat? Thank you all for the great session that we had. Thank you so much. I was just saying the end of the session. With this, we have come to the end of the sessions that were lined up for the day. But now we are going to begin with the Business Excellence Award, wherein in a couple of minutes we'll start with the Business Excellence Award, wherein the legal fraternity would be awarding the startups who have done exceptionally well in the sector.
Okay, before I thank everybody here, I think I'm going to first thank my team who have done lot of hard work in the past few days to bring this conference. It's not only this event that they were working on, they were doing all their client assignments, also side by side. So lots of applause for my team. And of course, I thank the speakers and the audience. And I must say we heard a little bit of lawyer bashing, so if I don't get any more work from the lawyers, startups, I'm coming to you for work then. Thank you so much. After the awards, please join us for cocktails at Blue Ginger Lawns. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now time for the most awaited moment of the day, a time to celebrate the achievement of others. I, Divya Vikram, shall be your host for the evening and would like to commence the awards night with what Vince Lombardi once said, and I quote, "Perfection may not be attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can for sure catch excellence." With this spirit, I would like to extend a warm welcome to one and all to the Business Excellence Awards. These awards are a recognition of business excellence by the legal fraternity. I'm happy to announce that this is the first time in India that the legal community is coming together to celebrate with the startups for their exceptional work and varied achievements. This evening belongs to them. May we have a huge round of applause for all the startups present here, please? We are completely overwhelmed by the presence of this wonderful constellation of dignitaries and guests this evening. Thank you so much for taking out time to join us today. Every great achievement, be it winning a gold Olympic medal or completing a marathon, is a culmination of many days, weeks, and sometimes even years of blood and sweat. That is why they say, winning is not everything, but wanting to win is. Because in that want, you're willing to go longer, work harder, and give more than anyone could ever give. To get the awards ceremony started and to take the grand celebration ahead, I would like to call upon stage Ms. Bitika Anand, founder and CEO of Legally Consulting. A huge round of applause for our leader, please. Sorry for that. Our first award for the evening is for the fastest growing startup platform. To announce the winner for the category, may I please call upon Mr. Rashi Dheer, Senior Partner from DMD Advocates. You have to announce. Can he have a mic? Or you could probably share mine.
This feels like an Oscar night. So it's for Let's Venture.
Let's
The
Venture it
fastest
is.
growing startup
I would like to call upon Ganesh and Vishal from the team of Let's Venture to collect the award. Founded in 2013 by Shanti Mohan and Sanjay Jha, Let's Venture has over 1,000 investors from 20 countries and has raised 19 million for around 60 plus startups so far. Let's Venture enables startups looking to raise seed or angel money to create investment-ready profiles online and connect to accredited investors. Recently, Infosys co-founder Nandan Nilekani, Snapdeal's Kunal Behel, and a host of other technology and startup heavyweights have co-invested in Let's Venture. It's noteworthy to mention that Mr. Ratan Tata and Mohandas Pai are senior advisors to the company. Congratulations to the team.
Thank you. I'll just give just build on that background to Let's Venture. The idea of Let's Venture is to really democratize access to investors for startups. Right? Today we have about 8,000 startups on the platform, and about 62 of them have raised money through the platform. And it really gives a startup opportunity to actually identify the right investors for them, and really being able to make meaningful interactions with a very diverse and scattered universe of angel investors. And the other part is we also help them with the scary legal documentation that they have to go through, right? So we standardize term sheets, we provide that on the platform so that startups and investors are able to close deals in a very efficient manner. So would love to kind of chat with anybody who wants to collaborate with Let's Venture and make meaning for the startup ecosystem. Thank you.
All right. Our next award for the evening is for the Smart Innovator in the Travel Space. To announce the winner for this category, may I please call upon Ms. Vidya Rajarao, partner from Grant Thornton and India LLP.
So the winner is fxcart.com. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yes. I would request Ankit Anubhav and his team to come and collect the award. FXCart is an online aggregator of foreign exchange dealers and aims to improve the consumer experience of carrying out forex transactions while traveling to or from India. The startup has its international headquarters in Dubai and Indian headquarters in Bangalore. The FXCart app includes features like geolocation, instant chat, and deal tracking.
Thank you, and thank you so much for the award. Just to kind of build on what you just said, a lot of us have got a lot of problems while we travel, while we kind of book our tickets online, book our hotels online. Forex is one gray area that we all have an issue on. But people I think Indians generally travel twice a year. So there's a lot of issue when we actually have the gray market in the Forex, which kind of comes into play. So all we wish to do is sanitize the whole market and make it into one platform and give people a chance to kind of discover the best possible foreign currency exchange rates in and around them through an app. That's it all we do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on. To announce the award for Business Monetization Specialist, I would like to call upon Mr. N.K. Dilip, Senior Partner of Tatva Legal. The award goes to InMobi. May I request Mr. Shyam Nagarajan, Senior Legal Counsel, come and collect the award? InMobi, since its inception, has been in the business of making users fall in love with their mobile advertising through continuous innovations, first in the SMS-based search advertising, and then moving on in app advertising. The company also has built a big data platform that helps understand user in great depth and deliver most relevant ads on regular basis. Creating a space in the sector which is dominated by Google and Facebook is an achievement which deserves a mention. A big round of applause once again, ladies and gentlemen. All right. The next award, for the next award, I would request Mr. Ameet Naik, founder and managing partner of Naik Naik Co, to give away the Rising Star Award.
Wow. CrownNet.
I would request Mr. Sameer Grover, founder and CEO of CrownNet, to come and collect the award. In the crowded cashback deals and discount space has emerged a star which is catching the eyeballs of the consumers. CrownNet has already created a user base of 150,000 users and is increasing by the day. It has also recently secured funding from foreign funds, which is being used to enhance its technology platform, expand to new cities, and add more product categories. Also, the company has recently announced the addition of diagnostic and pharmacies as a category and has also tied up with OYO rooms. Many congratulations, Mr. Grover. Okay. With this, let us move on to our next award for the Innovator of the Year. To announce the winner for this category, may I please call upon Ms. Chitra Raghavan, partner Avigna Law.
The Innovator of the Year goes to Venture City.
I would like to call upon stage team Venture City who are present here. Venture City is a Bangalore-based 2-year-old startup. It uses challenge model to help companies discover relevant talent and hire challenges to job seekers, through which Venture City aims to mimic real-time working scenarios and give job seekers a flavor of real-time problems. Each challenge has a package of leaderboards to track performances and features to showcase what each candidate has created and worked upon. Congratulations, Team Venture City.
We are deeply honored to receive this award. For sure, this is going to inspire us. Okay. For sure, this is going to inspire us to keep doing better. And I thank you all on behalf of the entire Venture City team. So the biggest challenge what startups are facing right now is, to find the right talent to join their tech team. So all the startups over here, whenever you are in need of the top talent, do remember Venture City. We are here to help you in connecting with the top talent. Okay? Nice meeting you all.
Thank you so much. Our next award is for the Startup Clean Energy Award. Unfortunately, since Mr. Rachit Behel of AZB and Partners had a flight to catch, he has requested Ms. Bitika Anand to announce the winner. I would like to call upon Harshit Podar, Head of South India, to come and collect the award. 8 Minutes is India's first full-service solar power company which designs, installs, finances, and maintains residential and commercial rooftop solar systems. This award recognizes and celebrates the outstanding passion of the entrepreneurs and advisors committed to the growth of clean energy in India. The founders dream of being a residential solar company and make solar a shelf product which can be simply ordered through their website and installed over a weekend at your home. Let's give it up for 8 minutes.
So thank you, Divya, for the lovely introduction. So in essence, what we're trying to do at 8 minutes is take the solar revolution to the masses, remove it from the utility scale project, and let it change the lives of the people, because solar is not a product, it's a lifestyle. And this is actually our first award, and we're going to take this as a stepping stone to many more greater things. And this one's for my team back in Delhi. Thank you.
Our next award for the evening is for the upcoming startup for fitness and well-being. To announce the award, I would request Mr. Manoj Kumar, Managing Partner, Hammurabi and Solomon, to grace the stage.
Gym Chalo.
I would like to call upon Devansh Yadav, founder of Gym Chalo, to come and collect the award. Started in 2013, gymchalo.com is a fitness platform that revolutionizes your lifestyle through social motivation and health gyan. It features gym centers, sports club with ratings and reviews for easy comparison. It also helps people find and book nearest fitness center, sports club, or any fitness event that is happening in your city. Your workout buddy is now just a click away. Congratulations, Devansh.
Thank you everyone for this award, and it's a really good opportunity for us to talk about fitness. I don't know how many of us don't care about ourselves, but we should definitely look at the end of the day, whatever we do it for our body. So what our aim is to just make fitness accessible to everyone with ease. That's it. I'll just say that much. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Have to exercise and it automatically happens. Yeah, you better do that because we need one of those.
All right. Our last and final award for the evening is for the best social endeavor. To announce the award, I would like to call upon Ms. Rupa Doraswamy, lawyer at DLC. Some more cheering for her.
The award for the best social endeavor, Mithila Smita.
I would like to call upon someone from team Mithila Smita to come and collect the award. Mithila Smita is a folk art preservation and promotional organization working for ancient Indian art Mithila paintings. They believe in the sanctity of heritage folk arts of the world and have undertaken the challenge of preserving the heritage art of India, also called Madhubani painting. Mithila Smita is proud to assist scholars worldwide in research of the Mithila art.
Just like to convey my thanks and the thanks from the entire Mithila Smita team in Bangalore, as well as from all the folk artists who work in Madhubani. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of this beautiful evening. Thank you so much for joining us here. Please proceed to indulge yourself for cocktails at the Blue Ginger Lawns. Have a great networking and enjoy your evening. Thank you.
I think we all need a drink.